Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kondo, and thank you, everyone online and in person at the Zendo. It's just I so appreciate your being here this morning and practicing together. My name is Jisei, and I'm speaking to you from Burlington, Vermont. So Vermont is the green state, and I'm telling you, everything is just gray skies here, but wow, the trees and foliage and everything is just brilliant green. So in spite of the abundant richness of this time of year, the bird song, something is, okay, there, I got rid of that thing on my screen. I started this morning off sipping tea, opening up a sliding door to take in the breath, the fresh air, and the bird song and whatnot is it's just such an abundance, a fullness of life at this time. And yet, there's so much more going on. Life is so complicated. And as I have heard so many others express, feeling unsettled and very tired at times, feeling shocked by what's going on in our country and the world. The shocking news is unrelenting, day after day, and it can be numbing. And I've kind of been dealing with that myself. And so the topic of my talk today really is about appreciation for everything that is our Village Zendo offers us, our practice offers us, and also the question of what helps. Uncertainty. We humans don't like uncertainty in the best of times. And now, it just feels unrelenting. It's good to be informed, but I think there's a limit to what we can take in and reasonably digest. And we have to be careful about reading and listening to the news. So a week ago, listening to Shinryu Roshi's Dharma talk, Practice in the End Time, he reflected on the value of Dharma teachings and practicing in times of profound change. And he talked through the koan of Dasui's Ionic fire. And I'll just say, I'm bringing this up because it was such an important talk for me to hear. I felt comforted, and it helped me to settle down. And so if you haven't listened to it yet, I'd encourage you to tune in. We have so many offerings from our sangha, so many sources of support immediately at hand. And here I am in Vermont, and I get to plug into, as we are right now online in the Zendo, to be able to practice online, to have interviews with teachers, listen to talks, hold a service position. I'd encourage anybody who's interested to reach out, because it's a wonderful way to connect. We interact with others in workshops. In short, we get to feel the nourishment of belonging and place in community. and it means so much to me, and I think helps me to stay grounded and stable. This past Thursday evening, at the monthly Fusatsu, our ceremony of atonement, Miyoko Roshi gave a powerful precepts talk, focusing on the precept of non-lying. So perfect, right, for this time we're in, to talk about the precept of non-lying. This time that we're in of so much lying intentionally, consciously and also unconsciously, manufactured by our nation's leaders for power grabbing and grandstanding. Miyoko stressed how important it is for all of us to be aware of our own thoughts and emotions, opinions, to practice, pay attention, to work within, to see ourselves and reality clearly, to be honest with ourselves and others. And she encouraged us to engage with others openly, to use skillful means, to not separate, to not grandstand, to have self-awareness, and to realize that our opinions are opinions. Listening to her talk was so helpful for me. This past Friday, Joshin Roshi was hosting for the early morning sit, and she offered us encouraging words, and as usual for her, right? A few sentences, and she's given a Dharma talk. She asked the rhetorical question, why do we meditate? And she answered, to humble ourselves. We meditate to humble ourselves. She explained, as being a psychologist and a counselor, the ego wants the self to be important. When we act from the self that craves importance, bad things happen. We see that in our country and in the world today. The ego that craves power acts out of self-interest and sows harmful seeds to enhance the ego, the small self position at the expense of others. She encouraged our practice of looking within ourselves with honesty and humility. And so thinking about Joshin as I was writing this, I remember Joshin saying at 588 Broadway in my early years at the Zendo, she said, I love mistakes. This was so important for me to hear. I had been conditioned as a child in my family to set perfection as the standard, to be judged by others, and I judged myself when I didn't do something well. The message, no mistakes allowed, that's like an impossible standard by which to live. The Zendo was then and is now a place where mistakes are seen as gateways. We need to be able to look at ourselves honestly and address our shortcomings. It's wonderful to be in a community and have a practice that supports and helps us to heal, to be vulnerable, more fully human and caring. I have so much appreciation for our sangha and practice to have this support and fellowship at this time with all that's going on. So I've been asking myself, thinking about giving this talk, what helps? What helps in these times we're in? So I've talked about, the Zendo and practice and all that's supporting us at this end time of profound change, and certainly poetry, music, the arts, whatever you love, it's like the bird song here, I just makes me feel good and brings me to the sort of enjoyment that life offers. So I think we're all trying our best to manage as best we can. Our practice is being in the body, posture, straight spine. Breathing, inhale, exhale. A swinging door, as Shunryu Suzuki wrote in his book. Returning over and over again. When we become aware that we've drifted off, gone down a rabbit hole of thoughts and or emotions, just come back to being in our body, paying attention. What do you see? What do you hear? I hear the bird song outside the window right now. Giving up thoughts about self and others. Being in touch with reality. What helps? What helps? So I'm going to turn now to case 39 in the Book of Serenity. Zhaozhou's Wash Your Bowl and the introduction. The introduction always points us in the direction. When food comes, you open your mouth. When sleep comes, you close your eyes. As you wash your face, you find your nose. When you take off your shoes, you feel your feet. At that time, if you miss what's being said, take a torch and make a special search deep in the night. How can you attain union? And so now the case. A monk asked Zhaozhou, I've just entered the monastery. Please give me some guidance. Zhaozhou said, have you had breakfast yet? The monk said, yes, I've eaten. Zhaozhou said, then go wash your bowl. So Zhaozhou, Kanshan, China, is known as Joshu in Japan, was born in the 8th century and lived through most of the 9th. He is one of the most beloved figures in Chinese Zen, and he appears in 20 koans. Zhaozhou studied with his teacher Nan until his teacher died. At that time, Zhaozhou was 57 years old. For the next 23 years, he wandered from teacher to teacher, monastery to monastery, and legend has it that he was 80 years old when he became the abbot of a monastery, where he continued to teach a small group of students for another 40 years. His teachings were always short, simple, and down to earth. And his message, pay attention, the present moment. What's needed in this moment? So the case. A monk asked Zhaozhou, I have just entered the monastery. Please give me some guidance. Zhaozhou said, have you had breakfast yet? The monk said, yes, I've eaten. Zhaozhou said, then go wash your bowl. So this is very simple, straightforward. Zhaozhou is kind. Have you had breakfast yet? The monk is very respectful, sincere, and open. Yes, I've eaten. Zhaozhou responds, then go wash your bowl. In short, do the next thing. It's that simple. In the monastery, and when we're on retreat, let the schedule hold us. Be in the meditation hall at such and such hours. Stand at your mat. Bow, sit, stand. Time for service. Time for breakfast. Time to wash your bowls, brush your teeth, wash your face. Work service, break, body practice. Do the next thing. It's as simple as that. And the forms dictate. If it were only that simple, life is more complex. We can also look at these lines as metaphor. The monk introduces himself. Zhaozhou asks, have you had breakfast yet? We can understand this line as asking the monk, have you eaten breakfast yet? Have you tasted the Dharma, experienced the teachings before? Have you tasted enlightenment? The monk responds, yes, I've eaten the Dharma. I've had experience. Well, even so, Zhaozhou says, go wash your bowl. It's always go wash your bowl. Don't get stuck in a past experience, perhaps a past Kensho experience, something you realized or understood. Keep moving in the moment. Be present and do the next thing that's called for, given the circumstances that are present in this moment, always new and changing. But can we take this a bit further through metaphor and wonder, what is the bowl? What is washing your bowl? So let's go back to the introduction. When food comes, you open your mouth. When sleep comes, you close your eyes. As you wash your face, you find your nose. When you take off your shoes, you feel your feet. This is very straightforward, right? Reality in the body. But at that time, if you miss what's being said, it's gone off. Take a torch and make a special search deep in the night. How can you attain union? If you miss, if you drift off, as I do, as we all do at times, thoughts come up, we get lost in them, we go down a rabbit hole, so to speak, feel strong emotions, and get stuck maybe for a little bit until we realize that we've drifted off. The next lines advise us to take a torch and make a special search deep in the night. The Buddha said to hold up a lamp in the dark. Inquire, ask a question. What's going on in me? What's this about? Lost in thought or triggered with a strong emotion? We are instructed to look and examine honestly, stripping away our defenses. Perhaps we recognize in ourselves greed, anger, and ignorance. Gain some insight in how we function in relationship in a way that doesn't work anymore, that holds us back, limits us, and maybe hurts others. And we might want to change. Feeling tight and uncomfortable, sometimes I have habitual ways of backing off from what I actually aspire to, hope for myself. I get bound in some long-held fear that sabotages, close me down. If I see that, investigating, I might decide to breathe into my body and practice relaxing. Do the thing that I long to do, even if it's when it's scary, and it always is, and step into the larger space I long for. We talk about in Zen, the koan that refers to stepping off the 100-foot pole, having the courage to jump into uncertainty and hoping that we'll find some ground, maybe no ground, but maybe within ourselves. Were you ever on a high diving board and were so scared you went back down the steps, feeling like a failure? Or risked all, took a deep breath and jumped. Lived to tell the story, feeling freer, maybe emboldened. Backing down or diving in, opposites, two sides of the same coin. Illusion, enlightenment, opposites, two sides of the same coin. Go wash your bowl. Can we think of the bowl as us, as our lives? Washing the bowl through the metaphor that we hear so often of polishing the mirror, where dust is always collecting. We are the bowl. How, in the case, then it asks, how can you attain union? Maybe it's as simple as washing the bowl, bringing the light into darkness, coming back to sitting upright with strong posture, taking a deep breath, back to being present, being here now. Again and again, washing our bowl on retreat and washing our bowl with the light of awareness, never ending, washing the bowl of our bowl. So in the case, there's a verse. Breakfast over, the direction is to wash the bowl. Opened up, the mind ground meets of itself. And now, a guest at the monastery, having studied to the full, but was there enlightenment? in there or not. Opened up, the mind ground meets of itself. Was there enlightenment or not? Zhaozhou wrote in the commentary, fundamentally, there is no delusion and enlightenment. Such are as numerous as flax seeds. Fundamentally, there is no delusion and enlightenment. Such are as numerous as flax seeds. So I'm going to end with some verses from the Meal Gata. Verse 72 labors brought us this food. We should know how it comes to us. Second, as we receive this offering, we should consider whether our virtue and practice deserve it. Third, as we desire the natural order of mind to be free from clinging, we must be free from greed. Fourth, to support our life, we take this food. Fifth, to attain our way, we take this food. First, this food is for the three treasures. Second, it is for our teachers, parents, nation, and all sentient beings. Third, it is for all beings in the 6 worlds. Thus, we eat this food with everyone. We eat to stop all evil, to practice good, to save all sentient beings, and to accomplish our Buddha way. Have you eaten breakfast? Go wash your bowl.